Hey guys, happy Tuesday. Laura and Brooke here with Legal Talk Tuesday. And this week we are kind of continuing a theme of giving and Christmas and, preparing for the things that might affect you and your family. And specifically today, we're talking about giving the gift of estate planning. And we have actually had clients come to us over the years asking for us to create estate plans for them to provide to their family members for a variety of reasons. But essentially, when you're giving someone an estate plan, even though people don't always like to talk about it or, bring it up and think about those types of things, but you're also giving your family peace of mind. And so we're going to explain a little bit about what that is and why it's important.
Exactly. We throw around the phrase estate planning a lot, and you'll probably remember that from movies or TV commercials or things like that. But what do we mean by that phrase, estate planning? Estate planning really kind of is what it sounds like. You're planning for what to do with your stuff, your estate, after you pass away. It is one of those things, like Brooke said, people don't like to talk about it. We've done a few lives related to, how to broach the subject over Thanksgiving dinner, that kind of thing. But specifically, what do you mean by estate planning? So we're going to talk about just briefly about the documents that you need and that we mean when we're talking about estate planning. The first one, and the one that's most common that people recognize, is a will. So it's last will and testament, will, whatever it might be called. The will is the most common thing that people think of when they mention estate planning. Your last will and testament is a document that allows you to easily communicate your directions and your wishes following your death. And a few things that are taken care of with the will are, who do you want to have your property? And by property, we don't just mean your house. We also mean your cars, your household belongings like furniture and things like that. Also jewelry, anything that is tangible, basically, that you can touch. That's what we mean by property. Where do you want your property to go? So who do you want to have it? Where do you want it to go? You might want to donate some of your assets to organizations or charities. Maybe you don't have close family members who you think deserve your money. That happens sometimes. So those are the kinds of things, that are important to make sure that people get this stuff, or organizations get this stuff the way that you want it to happen after you're dead. And again, nobody likes to talk about it, but it's the reality of this world until they figure out how to cryo freeze and all that stuff. Then, at some point we will all no longer exist in our human form. Another important thing that you can point out in the will is who will carry out the terms of your will. So you have to have what's called an executor. And so that's somebody who is responsible for making sure that everything you put in that document is carried out the way that you say it in the document itself. So that needs to be somebody that you trust. Also, if you have children, you can say in your will who you would like to be the guardian of your children that are under the age of 18 years old. It's not official and legal, but it at least gives your wishes gives your wishes a say that you would like your sister, your brother, your cousin, whoever, to be the guardians of your children. And that way, when they go to court to make it a legal situation, they have that as kind of the backbone of, this is what you wanted. So it's harder to contest things like that. Another document that's important is something called a power of attorney. When we say power of attorney, just that phrase itself, we're really talking about your finances and things of that nature. Having a power of attorney gives you the reassurance that these are documents that are important for while you're alive, not necessarily after you're deceased, because they relate to things that only can take place while you're alive. The next three documents that I'm going to talk about. So having a power of attorney gives you the reassurance that someone is there to help you when you need them the most. Maybe you're in the hospital for a long period of time, whether it's a coma, whether, you might not be completely incapacitated, but you might just not be able to get out of the hospital in order to do things like pay your bills. Or if you're in another area or another country and you need somebody to make decisions on your behalf, or for your children. That happens a lot too when people travel abroad. They might need someone to be able to have a power of attorney, temporary power of attorney over their children, so that they can make decisions for their children on their behalf while they're traveling in Europe or something. So a power of attorney can do some of the following things: write checks, sign legal and official documents, handle legal issues for you. But it's one of those things that to have that reassurance that someone can do that for you if you're unable to do it for yourself, it's only necessary. It can be written to where it's only necessary in that specific situation. It's not something that's general and overbroad, and they can do it even if you're able to do it for yourself. So it's really important to have an attorney draft it the way that it needs to be drafted, so that somebody can't just like go into your bank and drain your account, that kind of thing. Another very important document is something called a living will. A living will, sometimes you hear it called a healthcare directive. This is important for everybody. Has very specific thoughts about what they want done to them or for them if they are pretty much on the verge of death. And a living will is used by a hospital or a healthcare provider when you're not able to tell them your final wishes. That's what they can go by. So if you're in a coma, if you're maybe in a terminal condition, if you've come in from a bad car accident, whatever it might be, whatever the situation is, the essence of the living will is really only used when the person is near death. And it's things like, it covers things like a do not resuscitate or a DNR. Most of us have heard that again on TV shows or something like that. But do not resuscitate means that they're using, the heart. Sorry, it's right before Christmas, so my wording is not the best, but shocking your heart or performing CPR, using artificial hydration and food and that kind of thing. But it can even go into your objections to go through dialysis treatment or chemotherapy if you're not able to make or verbalize those decisions for yourself. The last document that I'm going to talk about is the healthcare power of attorney. So we talked about a power of attorney earlier that was mostly about your finances. A healthcare power of attorney is similar to that, but it's someone who can make decisions about your healthcare when you can't actually make those decisions or verbalize those decisions for yourself. This doesn't replace the living will. It's just an extra document. So if something's not covered in the living will, then you have someone who can make decisions for you about performing surgery or things like that. And what I'd like to just kind of mention here is it's extremely important to select a person that you trust. If you're religious, for example, you might want to select someone who has the same religious background and beliefs that you do. It's really just a good idea to select somebody who has the most similar feelings on issues related to personal health as you do. Don't just select your family member because they're your immediate family. While they might be a great power of attorney, you want to make sure that the person that you appoint to make that decision is someone who's going to make a decision like you would. That's very important. So those are just a few of the documents that we mean when we're talking about estate planning.
Right. And so we just kind of wanted to revisit that. We've discussed before with you guys what some of those documents are. But what's really important here is the peace of mind that you're going to have from planning ahead for your family. So just to kind of recap some of the important things that can happen if you are gifting this is that you have made sure that you've chosen the right guardian for your children, that you are secure in knowing that you have all your finances in order. You're secure in knowing that you're making smart financial choices about things like saving for your kids' college or, keeping their money safe, having life insurance, also ensuring that your children and your spouse is prepared for life, without you there if that happens. And also being legally set up to avoid things like estate taxes, keeping your family out of, a long court battle or even having to, go through that process, because if you've been there, it can be an intimidating process. And also know that you are leaving your loved ones a gift that's greater than any other gift that you can give, greater than money. It's that peace of mind, and not placing those decisions on them, and also making sure that they're taken care of. So thank you guys for joining us today as we chat a little bit about the gift of estate planning. The next couple weeks, Laura and I are spending time with family because the next couple Tuesdays are holidays. So we'll see you back here in January, and we hope everyone has happy holidays. Thanks so much. Bye.